All right. As we have a quorum, I will call to order the City of St. Louis Port Authority for its regularly scheduled meeting held on May 8, 2025 at 9 a.m. via video conference. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Liddy,
Here.
Commissioner Kay,
Here.
Commissioner Mason. Here. Chair McBride.
And I'm here as well. Thank you. We're going to go and take up the minutes, give approval of the minutes for the meeting held on April 10, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Simply moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Liddy,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Mason. Aye. Chair McBride.
Aye. Motion passes and the minutes are approved. We have someone joining us, which is going to be addressed in this next resolution, 25 PT 10. And I know James Morrow, our legal counsel, is going to walk us through, but I do want to take this time to welcome Otis Williams as Executive Director of the Port Authority and Interim President and CEO of the St. Louis Development Corporation. Welcome back, Otis. Although I may be presuming the outcome of this particular resolution, but welcome back, Otis.
Thank you.
And James, you want to walk us through this, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. You stole my thunder. Last week, Neil Richardson and SLDC mutually agreed to part ways, and Otis Williams, who is here with us in the room today, was elected as president or interim president CEO of SLDC. So by practice and custom, the president and CEO of SLDC also serves as the executive director of the SLDC supported agencies, including the Port Authority. So this resolution would appoint Otis as executive director of the Port Authority to be the Port Authority's designated signatory. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just got a text from Alderman Cohn. He's trying to join. And so, hang on just a moment. Any questions for James, for the commissioners, while I try to handle this? I think we're well acquainted with Otis's ability to handle all this and his knowledge. And so let me, here's Alderman Cohn. Very good. Perfect. Alderman Cohn, we're taking up the first resolution, which is to appoint Otis Williams as the executive director of the Port Authority. And there's no comment or question or discussion. Then I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 25 PT 10.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. May we have roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Liddy,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Mason. Aye. Alderman Cohn.
Otis. Hi, Alderman. How are you doing?
Let's make it work, man.
Thank you. I want to get it when this is over. We'll talk separately.
Thank you.
Chair McBride.
Aye. And the motion passes and the resolution is approved. Congratulations, Otis, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's see, resolution 25 PT 11. Susan, I think that relates to a demolition request for a proposal for the South Riverfront Development Project. You're going to walk us through that, please.
Yes, good morning. The building that you see on your screen is the old incinerator building. It's been abandoned for a while. The city used to burn its trash. The rubble to the left is where the two smokestacks used to be. We tried to take both smokestacks and the incinerator building down. And the street department didn't want to do that, so we did take the smokestacks down with the grant funding that we have. So we have grant funding now, and we'd like to continue the demolition of that abandoned facility. There's some offices in there and some storage stuff. And we can, once we get street department approval, we can relocate the stored items, and there's offices in the former maintenance shed. There's no maintenance happening in the shed, so it too is used for storage. It's that brick building in the corner, just in the upper right. So no, it's not. Anyway, there's other office opportunities on site. So the request before you is to tear down this building, which is Exhibit A, and then Exhibit B is the second building that's up on the high ground. It's the old dog pound building that's also been abandoned for a while. It's in the current location of the proposed citizen drop-off. We won't be needing that site for probably another year and a half, but we'd like to at least have the permission to tear the buildings down. We have the grant funding. We would get our match from the ARPA dollars that we have that are good through November 1st of 26. So we have the funding, and if street department and other powers that be are good with this, we'd like to at least have the authority to go out for an RFP for demolition. So that's the resolution before you.
Very
Well,
good. Let's see. Did someone have a question or comment on this resolution?
Yes, what was the reason that the street department held the brakes on this?
I couldn't tell you. The former street director, I guess, was kind of new and was feeling overwhelmed and just didn't want to proceed.
Okay, so we expect a different answer. Do we know that we could get a different answer?
Yes, if we'll just have to
Okay.
wait and ask
Okay.
the interim street director.
Okay.
Are there any hazard material on the building, on the site from the incineration, do you know?
Yes, there's a lot of ash, as stuff was burned, some of the ash was carted off and some of it was spread around the site. And our engineer HDR for the project has done the environmental we did the environmental at the same time as the smokestacks. And there are some heavy metals in the ash, and there's a lot of asbestos insulation inside the building. So the demolition would require appropriate or proper remediation of those things.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. So once those buildings are removed, are there any plans to do any development on that property? Or is that too far? Am I talking too far in the future? Or do you
No,
know?
you're not talking too far in the future. That site has 11.6 acres, and the goal is to clear the site and put it out for a Port Authority lease, and then turn around and redevelop the site for a port terminal. So we'd issue an RFP, we'd get a tenant, and then work with the tenant to make whatever improvements they need to do their business there. So there's, as you can see, there's river access. Just out of view to the right, there's a Union Pacific railroad track. So there's rail access. And obviously it's very close to Interstate 55. So the goal is to get a tenant, and say in about 2 years, and then work with the tenant to develop the site with either warehousing, a dock, a rail spur, outside storage, different kinds of warehousing. So yes, the goal is redevelopment of that site. The trash transfer facility obviously doesn't use the river or the rail access. So it's very well suited for some sort of port development.
Very good. Thank you.
Very good. And Susan, if there's another delay in this, if you could keep us apprised so that the board or we can try to take further action if there's some other delay. If we're tying ARPA dollars to this, we want to make sure that this gets out the door and done.
Yes, we will do that. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions or comments on this resolution? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve resolution 25 PT 11.
So moved.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Cone? Did we lose him?
He dropped off.
Commissioner Liddy? Did we lose him? Oh, he's there.
Commissioner Liddy's here.
Hi, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And is that
Commissioner,
an aye on the vote for PT 11?
Yes.
Thumbs up.
Commissioner Kay?
aye.
Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Chair McBride?
Aye. And with we'll call it a majority of the commissioners, then the resolution is, the motion passes and the resolution is approved. Let's take up resolution 25 PT 12 relating to security services for the improved riverfront. Susan, you gonna walk us through that, please?
Yeah, as you know, we get visiting cruise boats, and they, some of them stay overnight. And a few years ago, unfortunately, we have a lot of revelers that show up on the levee late at night. And we did have a shooting incident. Nobody was hurt, but we want to prevent anybody from getting hurt. So a few years ago, we started doing we went out for an RFP for overnight security services, and the company that we would like to continue to work with is Specialty Services. They use off-duty police officers, and then they have a sub-consultant that is an MWBE, and they're both housed in the convention center in downtown. And so the resolution before you is to continue using them for the overnight stays. And what they do is from dusk to dawn. And what they do is they have an off-duty police officer and a support person, two people from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then they have the same type of staff from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. And that way we're pretty much covered, and they patrol and hopefully prevent any unfortunate incident from occurring. So we did go out with an RFP for them, and we gave them a three-year deal. And so this is to launch the second year of their contract.
And how has that gone? And I say, how has that gone? Because I think whenever we hired them initially, we wanted to get some feedback on whether 2 officers at any given time was sufficient.
Well, it's kind of hard to answer. I mean, there've been no incidents. There's been nobody's been shot. There's been no theft or bombs or anything. And so it's I'd like to think it's because they've been very effective. I mean, we have had no kinds of issues with crime down there since they've been there. So hopefully that will continue, their ability to stop any kind of problem. We did have some arrests early on, but that was at the very beginning when we first started doing this. You know, and the people that show up, they do flash mob things, you know, and so there's nobody there and suddenly there's 50 of them, you know, and they're in stolen cars and they're doing wheelies and sort of burnouts and all this stuff. And so we've kept that away, and nobody's tried to board any of the overnight boats. So so far so good.
Well, that's what I'd like to make sure we stay ahead of because of the numbers you mentioned. It's not like just what I would call a standard neighborhood patrol. There is the possibility, like you referenced, and we know from media reports in the past that there have been these large numbers of people that show up all at once. And so I would like to assure there's a plan if that were to occur, or that there are barriers ahead, you know, to be reactionary. You know, let me back up. We worked really hard to get Viking here and some of the other cruise lines. And so what we want to do is be proactive instead of reactive. And
Sure.
so if there is a way to use Jersey barriers and such or whatever to make sure that we won't have a situation, I think it behooves us all to engage in that and make sure that we don't look back on something and say we should have done X, Y, or Z. We need to be proactive in this situation because what I don't want to do is have a meeting where you tell us, oh, Viking isn't coming back or one of these other cruise lines isn't coming back, because that would just undercut all the hard work that you and the rest of the staff has put in for a lengthy period of time to get them here. And I want to keep them here.
Yeah, the GRG recently is finishing up their Gates and Bollards program whereby they reinforced, if that's the right word, for the intersections along LKS. And there's now a guard shack. They staff that guard shack during the day. They don't at night. But there's now lift gates and other kinds of gates that come down and lock into place. And so we think that that will at least, help the overnight patrols support their security efforts. But I agree, we don't want to be reactive. So I will talk to them and see if we can talk to them about a plan about what they're going to do if, like we say, 50 people show up.
I would like that, and I'd like for you to report back to us on that so that because maybe that would be worthy of a closed session, but I think that we need to have some plans in place and really, we've got the security there, but we need to keep going. And that security is just for the nights that the cruise lines are here, correct? It's not every night.
That's right. That's when the cruise lines are there overnight.
Okay.
A lot of them don't
So-
stay overnight. They'll come in the morning and leave in the evening.
Mhm.
Some of them though are overstay 1 or 2 nights.
All right.
Can I
Yeah,
ask, Jeff, do we have any data on when we aren't there, what kind of activity is occurring?
I personally don't, but I guess the police department does. I mean, I know people do show up and, do their thing, There's, because you can see some of the burnout marks on the LKS and it's a constant problem.
Just for information, can we communicate with them and let people kind of data so we can coordinate with them? I think it's more about reputation. While we may be safe when we have boats in,
Mhm.
what others think of us is about what's happening full time.
Sure. Yeah, and Gateway Arch Riverboat Cruises, they'll do evening cruises and they have security as well. It's just their guests leave at 9-ish at night, and then their staff is gone by 9:30 or 10, and then the flash mob kicks in. So
Yeah. So I know in the past that there have been some attempts to get all the various agencies that deal with the port to discuss security, whether it's GRG, Bi-State, the police, streets, and us. And recently that has not been as effective as we'd like. I'd like to renew efforts in that and see if we can't, with new folks in place, if we can't restart that and have just a comprehensive plan here, because piecemealing the riverfront isn't the way to do it.
for sure. Yeah, I think the last security meeting we had was called by the former mayor's chief of staff, and we met at the casino because they are very involved in this, and everybody that you mentioned was around the table and trying to come up with, a strategy to deal with some of the issues. So, we have a new mayor, somebody we can try to get that started again.
Yeah, if we could do that and you could keep us apprised of the efforts, I think that would be an important thing to keep going and get momentum behind. As Otis said, to keep our reputation down there safe, and then that encourages as we keep it safe for the nights that we have overnight, and that encourages the safety for concerts or whatever that some other group may be planning, and we need a holistic plan so that it becomes a draw more than it is.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Yeah, we'll do that.
Mr.
Oh,
Chair,
Yeah.
I-
Alderman DeCoon.
I just also would like to add, Susan, as long as we're talking about safety and the perception of safety, I don't know what is going on in Laclede's Landing the last few years, but it looks like a freaking prison yard. They have wrought iron fencing around every single parcel over there. And if you're talking about the perception of safety, that makes everyone feel unsafe as soon as they like step foot or drive through the Eads Bridge or whatever. I mean, I certainly hope that the Port Authority would not be contributing to advancing more fencing or other types of things that might make people stop and think about what their safety is in that area or adjacent areas to Laclede's Landing.
Yeah,
I
Laclede's
don't
Landing,
think we need to be participating in that.
we are not, I mean, they come to the table. They've been one of the participants in all these security conversations, and they've had kind of a go it alone approach, and we're trying to, we agree, we don't think that's the best attitude, but they're their own master, I guess.
Sure,
So,
I
but
just don't want the Port Authority advancing that cause in terms of just throwing up fencing everywhere, thinking that that's going to make people feel safe, because I mean, literally as soon as you drive into that area, you don't feel safe anymore because it's just full of fencing everywhere. So it makes you visually, it makes you think that you're in an unsafe area. Also, it kind of makes you feel like you're a rat trapped in a maze, because it's just there's fencing everywhere. I mean, it's absurd. Not to mention it's aesthetically just not appealing whatsoever. But I get that they're at the table here and that they're driving their kind of like own destiny there. But since we're talking about the safety and the perception of it, I just hope that we're not going to perpetuate that or take it on in other parts of the Port Authority district that are adjacent to Laclede's Landing.
Sure.
Well, we will definitely reinstitute the discussions and understand how we can better the situation here.
Have you all driven over there or like walked over there? I mean, it's ugly one, but it definitely is not.
Part of our response to that situation over there was to try to attract the Coast Guard. And so the Coast Guard recruiting office is going to go into a building in Laclede's Landing, and a second Coast Guard facility, a training center, is going to go into a second building in Laclede's Landing. And the idea is the more people and liveliness and offices and just people walking around, especially if they're in Coast Guard uniforms, we hope will contribute to the sense of, liveliness and well-being. So we're trying to help Laclede's Landing in that fashion. So
Great. Yeah, I'm aware. Thank you.
sure.
I have a question about the photo. Susan, when was that photo taken?
It was a while ago. That's a Delta Queen, and she's not with us anymore.
Okay. And because I'm, in addition to talking about fencing and things that are happening down there, aesthetics, again, maybe I can just be called the beautification queen in terms of when our guests arrive. I know it's been raining down there, and raining, period. How is I call it river trash with the how is that cleanup effort coming? And from our last meeting, I had asked Charlie when he went over his budget that we are working. We have a budget of $300,000 with whom? And I asked him. I said, "Well, how do you determine that budget?" And he didn't know. And then Neil Richardson said he was going to work on that to see how was that budget determined. Like I said, I haven't been down there recently, but the trash has been an issue. And I just wanted to ask you, how is that process coming along?
Well, first of all, I misspoke. That's the American Queen, not the Delta Queen. But the American Queen company went bankrupt, so that vessel doesn't arrive. We did talk to Neil, and we talked to about how to clean up, and we used to have a cleanup. A member of LRA would drive around and pick up trash, and so we tried to get that restarted. And that was an initiative we undertook with former executive director, and we have a new executive director, and so we're gonna restart that process. The issue is, you know, who drives along there and picks up trash. It needs to happen. So we will decide internally who to approach about doing that, because I mean, you can see a little bit of litter there. It's litter that we're talking about. The Port Authority pays the street department $300 grand a year to come down and clean the wharf. So when the river recedes and leaves trunks and logs and stuff, the street department will bring a little small front end loader to push all that stuff back into the river, and that's an important thing for them to do. So that's where that 300,000 is. That's what it's budgeted for.
Just a little history, that number was first determined, I think it was started at about 200,000 many years ago. And it was determined by the street director as to what that would be to supplement his budget to be able to do what Susan described. Previously, we always had part of the LRA staff, maintenance staff, and I said part, at least one of the staff members dedicated to working in conjunction with that effort, as Susan described. And so we will reinstitute that for sure to try and help with the cleanup.
I know we used to talk about in previous meetings that you would hose off the cobblestone, and is that a continual process, and what's the condition of the cobblestone that's down there?
We do continue to have that issue. We have cobblestones that have been pushed out of place, and they're sort of gaping holes. And I did apply for a grant to, we figure it's gonna, I did a scope of work, and we figure it's about 2 or 3 million to repair all those spots on the cobblestone and put in new mooring rings those boats tie up to. And I didn't get that grant, but we're in the process of trying to get another grant, excuse me, to do that. So the goal is to continue to try to repair the levee, and funding is an issue, and the Port Authority would like to do that, so we're working on that.
Yes, I just wanted just to continue to echo that, and to also agree with Alderman Cohen. Safety is an aesthetic, and also beauty is an aesthetic. And as Chairman McBride said, we work so hard. You all work so hard to get those contracts. If it doesn't look pretty, people won't feel comfortable with visiting our city via the river, and that's so important because our city has so much to offer.
Agreed.
All right. Anything else on resolution 25 PT 12?
Mr. Chairman, to the staff, a question, the picture of the riverboat, where was that tying up? Because it doesn't look like a very attractive part of the wharf area. And I guess like where current riverboats tying up, is that the foot of the arch, or where do they have like immediate access to the city, or what?
All the visiting cruise boats like to moor between the south leg of the arch and the Poplar Street Bridge, because the river is most cooperative there, and the levee has a lot of parking there. So that's where they all tie up, and that's what you're seeing there. The Poplar Street Bridge is in the background, and beyond is the MacArthur Bridge.
Okay. Do they still use those gangplanks to walk off the river?
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yes,
Wow.
they do.
Okay.
They all do the same thing, and we'd like to build something for them. The local cruise boats have some barges lashed together so that people walk out onto this horizontal level, stable surface before they board Tom or Becky, and we'd like to do the same kind of thing. We
Right.
approached the Coast Guard about that a few years ago, and they had a cow, so we backed off. And we have another Coast Guard captain of the port rotating through in June, and we'll restart those conversations, because we'd like to have a much better access point than what you see there. I mean, what you see there isn't safe either, really.
I agree. Having been in the Navy, trying to walk those things coming back drunk, not good idea. Well, not drunk, but you know, tipsy. So yeah, that'd be a good idea. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Anything else in this resolution? Hearing and seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve resolution 25 PT 12.
So moved. Asking for previous roll call?
Second.
Been moved and seconded with previous roll requested. Is there any objection to that request? Hearing
We do
none.
need to do a we do need to do a roll call. Alderman Cohn was not present for the last
That's correct.
resolution.
Did I miss it? Okay, well then we will do a roll call. Thank you, Mr. Morrow.
Commissioner Cohn,
Aye.
Commissioner Liddy,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
The motion passes and the resolution is approved. All right, we've given Susan some homework. An open agenda, I'd just like to take a point of privilege and recognize former Commissioner Lily Seymour. She served with us the last 2 years, and we received notice that unfortunately she passed away in April this year. So we'd like to recognize Commissioner Seymour for her service, not just to the Port Authority, but to the city as a whole. She donated a large amount of her time through all kinds of endeavors, including serving her real estate clients. So it's sad news with heavy heart that we relay that to everyone. Do I have anything else on open agenda?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to hear that news because I'd like to echo your sentiment. Throughout all of the times that I worked at SLAC, I always worked with Lily Seymour. And so she loved the city of St. Louis and would do almost anything to try and assist. And our efforts with CASA, I think it's still CASA. This is for foster care was exemplary. So yes, we will miss her.
Thank you, Otis. All right, anything else on open agenda from the commissioners or staff?
Today is Truman's birthday.
And for our state employees, they have the day off to do what they please on a Thursday. Thank you for joining us, Kevin. All right.
Well, for what
Our
it's
next-
worth, I do have something for open agenda. For what it's worth, when you talk about state and city workers, I am pleased to announce that my husband, Judge David Mason, will be retiring on the 16th, well, actually, the 23rd of this month, but he's having a retirement party in Division 17 on the 16th, which is next Friday. So if anyone's in the neighborhood, you want to stop by and get some barbecue and chicken, you are welcome to come.
Outstanding. And thank Judge Mason for all his work for the city as well.
35 years of service to the city of St. Louis.
Wow.
All right.
Good.
On many things, but the easiest thing to recognize his service is the statue for the Freedom Suit sitting outside the Civil Courts building.
Yeah.
So, among many other things. All right. Well, very good. Good to see you all. And again, good to welcome Otis Williams. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We've completed our agenda and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.